What are you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy Bucket Sam, and we're back in today for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be going through the West Bromwich Albion current squad and doing my keep, loan and sell. Let me know with every single one of these players your thoughts down in the comment section below, and whilst you're down there, please do smash the like button and do subscribe. So number one now, we've got to talk about David Button, and it really kills me to talk about this guy because he has to go. We have to sell this man. He's simply not good enough for the Championship. He's not good enough for a side that want to even compete in the Championship, let alone even go for playoffs and promotion. He's just simply not good enough. He has to be sold. But the problem is with a lot of these players, and when I say sell, obviously this isn't a dream scenario because I can't imagine there's going to be many clubs, they're going to be coming in for him that even want him, let's be honest. So for me, he has to be sold. He's simply not good enough. So many mistakes all season, just really not good enough for us. Number two now, Darnell Furlong. Now this one's a bit of a controversial one. It splits a lot of the fan base. For me, I think we should keep him. He's proven in the Championship. He knows exactly what to do. He's the kind of player that you want in the squad. He's a good player overall. Yes, I know he kind of gets scapegoated a lot, and he has been a lot this season. But personally, I think he's good enough, and I think he's probably our best right back at the club, in my opinion. Obviously, we haven't got many players in that position to compete with him, but I think he is good enough. And we've seen with a lot of the youth players, when they've tried going out there, even Gardner Hickman, I don't think competes with him. I think he's really good, and with his long throw as well. So for me, Darnell Furlong has got to be kept. Number three now, Connor Townsend. He understands everything going on at the club. He's one of our longest serving players. He's a good footballer. He's good enough for the Championship. Personally, when we went up, he wasn't good enough, and I'd like to see a bit more competition in that spot. But personally, he's definitely our best left back, so I think we've got to keep him. Number four now, Dara O'Shea. Now this guy we have to keep. We've got to build the future around him. He is such a good defender, one of those players that really improved under Carlos Corberán, more of a ball playing player than we'd seen in the past. So personally, I think we've got to keep him for future. Get him down, tie him down to another big contract, because he's currently only contracted until 2025, and I can imagine there's going to be a lot of clubs sniffing about for him, so we need to give him that new contract. Next, Carl Bartley. Now this is one that is a little bit controversial. Personally, I think we've got to keep him. This guy understands the Championship. He's been in a club. He's been in many clubs in this situation, and I think he's vital for that dressing room. Kind of got the experience, because I think with a lot of these players, these older players, you can't get rid of them all. You've got to keep at least a bit of what used to be there, just so they understand, that the new players can understand exactly what's going on. This is the kind of man that you want in the dressing room. So Carl Bartley's got to be kept for me. Maybe even just as a bit part player in the squad, but I can't imagine he's going to start every game, but it's good to have a bit of competition and a bit better backup than we have last season. Next, Semi Ajayi, another one that's a very obvious keep. He's been very good in a West Brom shirt. Yes, I know he makes a lot of mistakes, but he's got his pace to sort himself out, but I really like him as a footballer. Again, he's been at the club for a while. He's got to be kept. Next, we've got Matt Phillips, who's got a contract running out on the 30th of June in 2024. Now, I think we've got to keep him till the end of the season. Personally, I don't think he probably will get a new contract. I don't think he should. Injury prone, I get that, but again, these are the kind of players that you need, these experienced players in the squad to push you on, these kind of players that may only play a bit part in the season, whether a few games or not, but you need these kind of players in the dressing room and kind of just around the club. Grady Diangana. Now this is a player which is a little bit controversial for me. I would personally sell him, personally, and I know a lot of fans will get onto me now saying, oh, think about him in his prime. We've not seen him since we've signed him permanently. We've not seen his prime for more than a couple of games at a time. He's injury prone. We might be able to get a tiny bit of cash from him. Obviously nowhere near what we invested, but maybe a couple of million maximum, which will help us in the long run. Personally, I just think those kind of players, the luxury players, I don't think right now is exactly what we need. So personally, I'd sell Grady Diangana. Next, Daryl Dike. Obviously, we've got to keep him. I think he's been really good this season. One of the best minutes to goal ratios in the Championship last season. I think he's vital if we want to improve. He's young. He's driven. I know he's got a lot of injury problems, but that is just unlucky. And I think we've just got to stick with him. I personally think he will come good still. I think he still had a good season last season, and I really like him as a guy as well. Again, good to have around the club. Next, my favourite Albion player, Jason Malumbi, the biggest U-turn on any footballer I've ever had. At the start, I didn't get it, but last season he was absolutely integral. He was so good. He was revitalising that new system alongside Yokoshi, so we've got to keep Malumbi, and he's just great. I absolutely love him, so definitely keep Malumbi. Eric Peters, who's currently negotiating a new contract. I personally probably wouldn't have kept him. I would have sold him. I'd have just got rid of him, let him go on a free, because personally, I think with Carl Bartley, I think he's exactly what we need as a backup, because we've got Kipre coming back as well. I personally didn't think we probably needed to give Eric Peters a contract extension personally. Next now, Jed Wallace, one of those players that has really been frustrating this season. Moments of brilliance, and then moments of just nothing. He went missing in games, but that is a winger typically. I think definitely we've got to keep him one of the better, brighter sparks in this team. One of the positives from last season. Next, Karlan Grant. Now this one is an interesting one. A lot of fans will probably agree with me personally. I know he can score, and if we've seen him score, but I just don't think he's exactly what we need. He doesn't suit the Carlos Corberán way, so personally I would sell him. I think we'd cash in on him. We will still get a couple of million for him. He's still a very good footballer in the sense of he gets goals. Technically, not perfect, which is why he doesn't suit the Corberán system. So I would definitely sell Karlan Grant. John Swift now, one of the most underrated players at the Albion. I think he's absolutely brilliant. One of the most chances created in the Championship last season. I just think, again, he's got a role in this system, and I think a lot of fans need to give him time because he affects the game so much. He does so much off the ball. I really like him as a footballer, and a lot of people judge the way he walks around the pitch or his body language and things like that, but he quite clearly is a very good footballer, and in the big moments, he's been there for the Albion this season. So personally, I think we've got to keep him, and he's one of our main men for definite. Adam Reach now, I know he's been a bit of a bit part player in that squad now for the last couple of seasons, but personally, I would sell, and I can't imagine there's going to be too many clubs sniffing around him, sniffing around for him, but personally I just think he has to go. I just don't think he's good enough for this West Brom system and this West Brom way. It's an odd signing when we signed him back in the day as a free agent, but personally I just don't think he's good enough for the Albion at this time and exactly what we need. He doesn't really suit the system at all. Like, he doesn't really have a position. He's been playing left back, which is obviously not his role. So personally I would sell. Brandon Thomas Asante, keep. Simple as that. Absolutely brilliant last season. Exactly what you need. A young, energised, he's just hungry for goals, and that's what I love about him. He just leaves absolutely everything on the pitch. I really like him. Definitely keep Asante. That's probably the easiest one for me, along with Malumbi. Next, Alex Palmer. Obviously got to keep him. This guy is definitely Albion's number one, the best goalkeeper at the club. And yeah, not much else to say. It's a really easy decision. You've got to keep him. Taylor Gardner-Hickman. Now this one is going to offend a lot of Albion fans, but personally I would sell him. I don't think he's good enough for the Albion. I think this is another one of those moments where Albion fans get a little bit ahead of ourselves. He has a few good moments under Steve Bruce at a bad time, and he was one of those positive things to come out of Steve Bruce's era. But I think when we've seen him in this Carlos Corberán side and in the way we're now playing, you can see he's technically not good enough, and I don't think he's up to standard of the rest of the squad. So personally I would sell or maybe loan. I'd probably go towards loan, actually. Maybe he might be able to come back after a loan spell and get back into that side, but I can't really see it realistically happening. So I'm 50-50 with that, and I've got to pick an answer. I need to stop flip-flopping. So do you know what, actually? We're going to sell him. Maybe get a little bit of cash for him. Nathaniel Chabala, next one. This one was the most bizarre signing, and I think we've got to sell him. He quite clearly isn't cut out for the Championship anymore. You saw he really struggled in the West Brom side last season, and a lot of people got really excited by this signing. I said straight away, maybe 5 years ago, that would have been the right signing for West Bromwich Albion. But we saw the way the Fulham fans reacted when he was sold. He just isn't cut out for it anymore. He just hasn't got it in him. And I hope to be proven wrong by him, but we saw last season he wasn't really a positive. He didn't really have a positive effect on that Albion side, so personally I would sell Chabala. Next, Josh Griffiths, and personally I would loan this guy out again because obviously he went to Portsmouth. We recorded him to get back into the squad when we had the injury problems, but I would loan him. He needs more first team experience. You can still see he's got the nerves in him. Don't get me wrong, he's going to be a great keeper, but I don't think right now West Brom is the right place for him. I think he needs to go out on loan, get some minutes in, getting that confidence back, because you saw towards the end he did look a little bit shaky. He was starting to make a few mistakes. So personally I think he will be a great keeper in the future, obviously, but he just needs to get a bit more first team experience before breaking into that West Brom side permanently. So I'd get him out on loan and use Button as a backup for now. And the final player, Okay Yukoslu, and this is obviously a really easy one, has to be kept. What a great player. As simple as that. So good. Arguably one of the technically most gifted players in the Championship, and we saw him last season, how integral he was to that side. But that is it. That is my keep, loan, sell for that West Bromwich Albion squad. Let me know down in the comment section below any that you disagree with. Obviously, I've missed out a few players, but we're just going to fly through it, and we'll go back to this towards the end of the summer, and maybe with all the additions. But let me know, and let me know where you think West Bromwich Albion will finish next season. But thank you for watching. Bucket Sam over and out. Thank you. Goodbye.